and gentlemen, yes, this is your favorite show, Sports Unfolded, with your favorite hosts, Eric and Ron.
Hey, welcome to Sports Unfolded, episode 16 of season 2. I'm your host, Eric. My main man right over there, Ron. How are you?
Hello, everyone.
So, as normal, NBA playoffs have started. NHL playoffs are on its way. NFL news. So, we've got tons to unfold as usual. So excited about this episode because I feel like we're going to have some really good debates here tonight. I just feel like, as I drop my prop, that we're going to be going through some stuff tonight that it's going to be pretty interesting. So let's start off with our leadoff story, and that is the Boston Celtics. Obviously, our local team has taken a 2-0 lead on the Brooklyn Nets. Do you think the series is over?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say it's over because it's only been game 2, you know. I don't see Brooklyn being able to beat the Celtics in a best-of-7 series at this point.
So you're pretty confident, again, the series is over. Boston's going to win it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm pretty confident.
So I would say that if you looked at the two games and we look at exactly what happened or transpired, there really was an opportunity for Brooklyn to win that game the other night.
Yeah.
And basically was up by 15. Boston came back. And I think it was more about Brooklyn playing poorly and not as much about Boston offensively doing more. If you look at the numbers in this series, they're pretty similar. Brooklyn and Boston are both shooting about 50%. Brooklyn's actually shooting a little better. I think Brooklyn's at 50. Boston's at 49. Boston's got a slight edge in rebounding, but assists, turnovers, steal, everything's even. My fear is this. As a Celtic fan, and I know you don't want to hear this, Kevin Durant hasn't played Kevin Durant basketball. Kyrie hasn't played Kyrie Irving basketball. If those two play well, and these games are so tight as it is, you can't tell me that Boston, it's that much of a lock that Boston wins this series.
Eric, I mean, you're talking about, first of all, there's a big difference in defensive play. Like, clearly the Celtics are better defensively. And the reason why Kevin Durant isn't playing like Kevin Durant is because their defense has been that good against Kevin Durant. And he's taken poor shots, so his shot selection hasn't been as good because he can't get open. When he goes down the lane, he's getting hit. So he's going to the line, and that's why he had like 20-something free throws, the other night. And, it's tough basketball. You're seeing the Celtics play like they played in the 80s and 90s, where you go down that lane, you're getting bodied, and you're going to have to get through it. And the calls have been sporadic here and there, and there's been a lot of calls.
A lot of foul calls, yep.
But, that is tough basketball, and if Kevin Durant can't figure it out, they're going to fail.
So let me ask you this question. At what point do we worry about the officiating changing the complexity of this series? For some reason, and I will say this, when they're in Boston, they allow them to play a tougher defense. They let a lot more go.
Right.
When they're in Brooklyn, if they allow it to become more of a finesse, offensive-minded game, that definitely hurts Boston. That's
Absolutely.
My fear, is that the officiating is honestly going to dictate this series, because I could see them very easily going in games 3 and 4 and calling it a lot different. they're not going to allow some of that stuff. They're going to allow these guys to get their shots off. They're going to allow these guys to get in the paint, which they didn't let them do in Boston. We've got to worry about that.
Yes, but, you also have to look when, Robert Williams comes back.
Next game.
In the paint, he's going to make a difference there. And
so that was some big news. Yep.
And I still think, through all of this, I don't think the Celtics have played very well.
They have not.
So, again, game one, they had a big lead, and they let it go. And then had to have a last-second, hero moment for Tatum. And then game two, they fell behind so badly, they had to expend a lot of energy to make a run and catch up and ultimately win the game, what seemed to be pretty comfortably, even though, by the gameplay, it wasn't really that comfortable, but by the score, it looked comfortable. But they had to make a comeback, and we
saw some good things. We wanted to see, as a Boston Celtic fan, you want to see them step up in a key moment. Jason Tatum, we had discussed in the past that he hasn't hit big shots or he hasn't come through in a key moment. He did game one.
Absolutely.
I would even say in game two, in the fourth quarter, he clearly was struggling for 3 quarters. Then he made some big shots, hit a key 3.
Yeah, that 3-pointer was huge for the Celtics, and that brought them back, and it was a different game from there.
So getting Robert Williams back, I think if they can win game 3 and not have to expend a lot of energy with him, that's a good thing.
Right.
Let him get at least a little more rest before, you need him to go full tilt if they get to the next round. Ben Simmons, though, is going to definitely play game 4.
Yep.
If Brooklyn takes game 3, are we getting a little more nervous now that they're getting more firepower as well?
Look, you have to wait and see what Ben Simmons can do. He's going to be huffing and puffing up and down that court. I don't think he can stay in the game very long. I mean, I could be wrong, because I don't know how fit he is. But I got to say, he can't possibly be in game shape. He can't possibly.
Chakra, thanks for joining. So the one thing he does very well is play solid defense. That's my fear is now they're going to put him on a Tatum. He's 6'10", so there's no size disadvantage. We could see, Tatum struggle a little bit. Jaylen Brown will be a key for Boston going forward. His play the last game was phenomenal when they needed some big baskets. He was able to drive, make some, key baskets. You got to see him continue to do that. And then Tatum's going to have his moments now. And when Tatum steps up, he's going to be the difference maker. But really excited to see what happens tomorrow night with this game. I'm sure we'll be talking to each other during it. But let's move on to some NFL action. And as you know, the season isn't around the corner, but the draft is. So there's been a lot
next week.
Thursday. Yep. Thursday is the draft, which join us on Thursday. Sports Unfolded will be doing a watch party where we'll be watching it and discussing the draft as the draft is happening. So tune in for that on Thursday night.
And pulling the rest of our hair out.
Yeah, whatever hair we have.
Why are you drafting him?
So I'm excited because what ends up happening pre-draft is a lot of trade rumors, a lot of trade talk, guys that possibly could get traded. One of those is Kyler Murray. So as an Arizona Cardinal fan, obviously I would be upset if I was an Arizona Cardinal fan and this was a talking about. But would you trade the young quarterback at this point?
No. Look, how long has Arizona been waiting to get, to the point where they can make runs in the playoffs? You know what I'm saying? It's like, now that you got the guy that can get you there, why not try to make sure that you keep your players that surround him and help him out a little? But no, they didn't do that. They're letting people walk left and right. And here we are now. Now we might trade Kyler Murray to get who? Who are you going to get? What, a first round pick?
Yeah. So the draft class isn't very good when it comes to quarterbacks this year. So that wouldn't make any sense. Look, he's 22, 23, and 1 in his career in Arizona. He's thrown for over 11,000 yards, 70 touchdowns, 34 interceptions. His numbers are very good, 66.9% completion percentage.
Look, if you trade Kyler Murray for whatever, I don't even care if it's the first pick overall, what are you going to end up with? What are you going to end up with?
An unknown.
You're going to have no quarterback, and then you might get a defensive player that possibly could be ready, to plug one of those holes, like, say, an edge rusher, to replace Chandler Jones.
So
okay, but that's not going to do you any good.
I looked at it this way: 5-10-1 in his first season. Went 8-8 in year 2, 9-5 last year. Obviously, he had some injuries, but they've improved each year. They made the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Do you know, Ron, the other two quarterbacks that got selected in 2019? I don't expect you to. But Kyler Murray, the number 1 pick, 2019.
Well, I was thinking it was Rose, whatever his name is.
Axl Rose?
Not Axl Rose.
Rosen?
Yes.
Josh Rosen? No, it wasn't Rosen. There were 2 other quarterbacks taken in the 2019 draft in the first round. Daniel Jones.
Oh, boy, that's right.
And the late, unfortunate Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
Those are the only.
That's a sad story.
Yeah. Those are the only other 2 quarterbacks that got taken. So if you look at the quality of what they were, obviously we won't know what Haskins could have possibly been. But, his short stints.
He had a lot of talent.
But his short stints they didn't do very well in Washington. And then he was in Pittsburgh and may have competed for a job this year.
Daniel Jones could have competed this year. Last year, I mean, he wasn't going to play.
And then Daniel Jones is such a question mark as to what kind of quarterback he is. So but going into these drafts, like, you don't know, that could be your quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So getting rid of a guy can improve your team each year wouldn't make sense to me.
No.
And again, if you look at what Kyler Murray's able to do, the only knock on Kyler Murray that anybody can say is his size. His height sometimes could be a problem, but then he maximizes his speed, which counteracts his height.
What's his height?
I think he's 5'10".
Okay,
honestly.
and what's Garoppolo?
Probably around the same 6. I think Garoppolo's 6.
I mean, look, if you're that talented, I don't think that's really a problem unless you're standing in the pocket the whole entire time.
Yeah, we know.
Because then you have to change your arm angles and stuff, But he's on the move a lot, and let me tell you that he can throw. He can throw a ball, and if he's on the run, if he's rolling out, I don't think his height matters.
It shouldn't. I just think they'd be foolish. I agree with you. How long has Arizona been trying to get a legitimate contender? Yeah. Build around them.
That would just be foolish, to be honest with you.
Listen, they need offensive line help. Get the kid some help on the offensive line. Make sure that he's getting some protection. They've got solid wide receivers. They've got a good running back.
Yep.
Do not break this thing up right now.
Because
it's too early. It's too early.
So you can't get a quarterback really in the draft. So you wouldn't trade him to get another quarterback because that's dumb. Doesn't make any sense. And if you plan on trading him and picking up a draft pick and a quarterback, I mean, your only 2 options really are Love and Baker Mayfield. That's your 2 options. Or Garoppolo. So 3 options. How does that improve your team?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. It doesn't improve your team. It makes no sense whatsoever. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's staying put, and, they're going to try to figure it out, the replacement of Chandler Jones through the draft.
Yep. Yeah, agreed. If they do trade him, there's definitely should be some backlash because that would be one of the dumbest.
Oh, absolutely.
The GM came out and said absolutely 0 chance. So I think, again, we've heard that before in the past, but I think he honestly understands that there's no way. I'm going to ask you this one quick question, and we weren't going to cover this, but I'm just curious. Do you feel like teams shy away from signing these quarterbacks that are mobile because of the injury factor? So you look at Lamar Jackson with Baltimore, it's the same thing. Like, he's probably going to have to play this year without renewing his contract. Kyler Murray, the reason why he was the trade talk was started because he's trying to get a new contract, and they're kind of hesitant to give it to him. Do you think sometimes the mobile quarterbacks have a tendency to have to wait longer because teams want to see if they're going to stay healthy?
Yeah, well, that's just it. They don't. They don't stay healthy because you rely on, being fleet of foot, and that catches up with you eventually. And like you can say all you want about the skill level, but you're going to get hit. You're going to get hurt at some point. And you tend to look, the more you run with the ball, the more chances of twisting an ankle, turning a knee, rolling over your foot, you're going to get, banged up a bit. I mean, it's hard enough if you're a pocket quarterback, and, you have to get hit in that pocket, but at least you're bracing yourself for it. I mean, that seems to be the best option, because you're there, you're putting pressure on that back foot, and then you're throwing the ball, so it's planted. So, it's more stable. But when you're running and you're trying to dodge people tackling you, that's a little different, and it gets a little close. A lot of close calls throughout those games, because the more you run it, the more chances you're going to get hit.
So sometimes being the athletic quarterback isn't, especially in the NFL. It
right.
seems like, again, do I invest another 5 years in a guy that I don't feel might make 5 years because of that aspect of the game? It'll be interesting to see how that turns out. So the gentleman we're going to put up on the screen now is the San Francisco 49ers wide receiver, Deebo Samuel. And they're at odds with each other based on the fact that he definitely is asked for a trade. He's demanding a trade, actually.
I don't even understand why.
So
why is he demanding a trade?
There's some speculation as to his usage and the fact of how they want to pay him going forward, because he's multi-diverse when it comes to running back, wide receiver. They're saying that maybe they give him running back money versus wide receiver money. So there's been some issues with the team and how they want to approach his contract. We see these big contracts coming out, Tyreek Hill, all these guys now that have signed massive deals. He feels like he's in that class.
Look, there's one way to solve that problem. You just don't sign with the team. You force their hand.
Which he's trying to do. The question is,
asking for a trade doesn't make any sense. I mean, where are you going to go? So
the Jets and the Lions have been the front runners.
That's my point.
If you go to these teams, you're obviously your numbers are going to decline. That's just an obvious. I would not feel comfortable going to one of those two teams and saying, well, look.
I mean, I can see, people asking for a trade for reasons. This is just a terrible reason. This is a young player that is really being guided wrong, to be honest with you. There is no need to ask for a trade because you don't know where you're going to end up. And it could be somewhere in hell, like New York or Detroit. And frankly, that's probably where you're going to end up. And then that's it. Then you're going to lose money in the long run. If you just stay quiet, do your job in San Francisco, and yes, they want to be cheap and not pay you what you're worth, because they want to say, oh, well, you're a running back. You're a glorified running back. Yeah, okay, fine. I'm a glorified running back. And then you go into free agency, and then they lose you. Period. That's how you handle it. Somebody, even if he got an injury and he was out for half the season, you don't think that people are going to take the chance and pay him a lot of money to come to your team?
No, based on what he's done. Last year, Ron, 1,770 scrimmage yards.
That's phenomenal.
On 136 touches. The kid is a machine.
He is a great player.
He can run the ball. He's got a tendency to have some drops, but his skill level, what he brings to a team,
speed. Oh.
Yeah, so if he's smart, to your point, I stick it out, test the free agent market, and go from there. And at least you have a choice of where you go. versus, look, if I was them, I'm trading them to the Jets.
Yeah.
Why not? It doesn't affect me one bit. You know, the Green Bay Packers have been rumored since they lost Devontae Adams, possibly a destination. I'm not trading them to the NFC.
No.
I'm not giving another team that I'm going to have to compete against the opportunity. Absolutely not.
No.
So why not send them to Detroit? Or if you're going to send them to Detroit, who you know isn't going to.
Yeah, you bury him that he's not going to come back and hurt you.
So I think you're 100% right. Just ride out the season. It makes more sense for the player.
Yeah,
the team
absolutely.
on the other hand, look, if you're smart, you're trying to lock this guy up.
Yeah.
Because no matter what quarterback you put in place, if it's Trey Lance or if it's Jimmy Garoppolo, this guy gives them an opportunity to do some things on the field that no other player can do.
Absolutely. And you know, even if you go back with Jimmy Garoppolo this year, you got a shot at going to the Super Bowl. I'm sorry, you do. And look, no, Jimmy Garoppolo is not Aaron Rodgers. Jimmy Garoppolo is not Matthew Stafford. But he's going to do enough to dish the ball to somebody else, and that person, like Deebo Samuel, can make more out of absolutely nothing. There aren't too many players that are going to get you more yards than what Deebo Samuel can make out of absolutely nothing. It could be just a crap play, and he can turn it into gold.
Yeah. You said it. His speed is probably tops in the NFL. One of the top wide receivers in the NFL.
And shame on San Francisco for how they've handled everything, including Garoppolo mess. Because they've totally embarrassed him. To be honest with you,
I agree. Trey Lance, look, we don't know. Trey Lance is an unknown, and there's a lot of rumor that he's already been talked about as the starter for next season. Like, how do you do that with? I don't know. But yeah, I am glad you mentioned Matthew Stafford, because real quick, have you seen the AT&T commercial?
Oh my God, I love that commercial.
Is that not such a good commercial?
Even when you've had your phone for 12 years, you absolutely love the phone,
and you've done everything you can, and you don't want to give it up. But then you go to, you get another phone, and it really does well.
Yeah. Oh my God, that is the best commercial. I love it. I love it. Congrats to Matthew Stafford for finally getting some recognition.
It really was. It was a good one. So it's our triple play time, and we decided to go with the top NBA scoring leaders currently in the playoffs. And that's Jimmy Butler, Donovan Mitchell, and Jalen Brunson. Brunson was a surprise to me. I didn't see that coming. But Dallas, what they've been able to do without Luka, which we will discuss shortly. But it's my turn to go first this week. So I will start us off and give you the correct answers to the test, Ron. So you'll be all set. You don't even have to say anything after I'm done.
Well, we'll see if you get the correct answers.
All right. So I am starting, as crazy as it sounds, and we're talking about playoffs now, Jimmy Butler. He's averaging 33 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists. He's shooting 60% from the field, 55.6% from the three-point line. If we think about what some of his struggles were in the regular season, it was three-pointers. He's more than doubled what he was shooting for three-pointers in the playoffs. The only knock, his free throw shooting, under 70%. I'm a little concerned with that. But he's averaging 2.5 steals as well. Better than any of these other three guys. But I am benching Jalen Brunson. 32 points a game, 5.3 rebounds, 5 assists a game. Shooting 50% from the field, 41% from three, 85% free throw shooter. So, again, clutch moments in the playoffs. I know if we put him on the line, he's going to make his free throws. That's important to me. And 40% isn't shabby from threes, which means I'm cutting Donovan Mitchell, who I really like. I think this kid is such a talent. I think because he gets lost because he's in Utah and they don't have success in the playoffs. But some of that's his fault as well. He's averaging 32.7 points a game. So he's scoring. Only 3.3 rebounds, 5.7 assists. He's shooting 41.3% from the field, 25% from three. Not shooting the ball well. He gets to the line, he's shooting at phenomenal 92%, almost 93%. But I need a guy that I know can make some shots in the key moments, a guy that if again, the NBA is all about threes right now. It drives me nuts sometimes because a guy has an open layup and they kick it out for a 3-pointer because that's the new league. If you're only hitting 25% of your threes, I can't have you on my team. I'd have to cut you. So that's Jimmy Butler start, Jalen Brunson bench, cutting Donovan Mitchell.
Very good. You did get it right, in fact.
I told you.
And I'll even expand on the things that you did say. First of all, Jimmy Butler. He might not be like, a great player. But when you need somebody to show up, Jimmy Butler always shows up. When you have a game on the line, he's playing. He is going to play well, and he's going to do his job and more. And that's what I like about Jimmy Butler.
He'll fight his own teammates.
Oh, he'll do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. You're absolutely right.
He'll fight his own team. He doesn't care.
So, there's not too many players I take over Jimmy Butler.
Yeah,
when you need to get a win.
Yeah.
Because he gets it done. He gets it done. And as far as benching Brunson, first of all, you're talking Mavericks in Utah, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so Mavericks don't have Luka. But Brunson is there. He has stepped up. He says, oh, by the way, we might not need Luka to beat Utah. Yeah. Look at me, what I can do. You give me the ball, I can handle it. And he has done that. He has showed us. And he has proved Ron wrong that they can't win without
Luka.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was completely wrong. And after seeing the two games, I'm loving his game.
Yeah.
And that has made Luka very happy on the sidelines.
It eases his concerns about having to come back early.
Right. And so to me, it is not even a question that he would be on the team. So therefore, I cut Mitchell because where is he? In Utah, right?
Yeah.
Well, he is not matching up. And he's supposed to be the guy. And he's not performing.
Like he's getting his points, but again, it's probably more at the free throw line.
You're shooting more,
and
you're shooting more, and your percentage is really low, and that is hurting the team.
And every year we keep thinking Utah. Look, they were the number 1 seed last year.
Yeah.
And you just look at them, and somehow every year in the playoffs, it just seems like they fall apart at the wrong time. And some of that's the player.
The team is made out of particle board, basically.
Yeah. Some of that's the
add
player.
Water, and they're a mess.
So let's stick to the NBA. We're going to talk about the playoffs. So we've got a lot of playoff action that is happening. Where we had our NBA playoff preview show, and we discussed all these matchups. And it's kind of funny how some of these are not turning out the way we expected originally.
Yeah, maybe
but
not for you.
Sure. So we're going to start off the number 1 seed in the East, Miami at Atlanta. Miami's up 2-0. We talked about Jimmy Butler and what he's been able to do, shooting the ball very well. Trae Young only averaging 16.5 points per game. How do the Hawks turn this around, or can they turn it around?
I think it's too late. Trae Young has not showed up yet. He's still hanging out in, Atlanta somewhere, waiting for their home game. That's basically what has happened. And, so by the time, he comes around to start playing, Jimmy Butler's already dictated the pace of the series, and I think it's already too late for Atlanta. I gave Atlanta a shot because of what they did in the play-in game.
Yeah.
But again, this is what we keep saying about these teams that have all these great players and that should have been, in a more comfortable situation for themselves, and they just didn't play up to par. And they floated by thinking, okay, we'll get in, and it never amounted to anything until you had to play that play-in game and then another play-in game. And now you think you can turn it on? No. Miami's too good for that.
Faceless,
And
thanks for joining.
yeah, and
So,
it's
is
you can't.
Is this
This
more
is
of
not
us?
Brooklyn.
What about us sleeping on Miami? So they were the number one seed. We talked about it. Do we consider them a true number one? They've gotten in the playoffs. They're doing what they need to do. Their star players is picking it up. They're getting it from a lot of different areas as well.
Yep.
Is this more of us just discounting Miami, or is this more about Atlanta just not playing well?
Well, it's more about Atlanta, to be honest with you. Look, I didn't feel like Miami was a true number one seed. I mean, they're there, but I still thought that, there were three teams better. And it is what it is.
Yeah.
One team decided to float through the season, being Brooklyn. And Milwaukee and Boston turned it on, around the All-Star break. And since then, those two teams have been lights out. And shame on anybody that tried to float through the season and turn it on right at the end, because you're just putting yourself into a hole. And Atlanta wasn't good enough to do that.
Yeah.
Like, Brooklyn can do it. They're good enough.
Yeah. Atlanta.
But it's still hurting them.
Yeah. I think Atlanta tried to ride on last season, and it's starting to come back to and bite them a little bit now this season. What about the number 3 Milwaukee Bucks versus the number 6 Chicago Bulls? That series is now tied, but a lot has changed when you think about the injury to Chris Middleton.
Yeah,
as well as Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis should be back. They said it doesn't look as serious. Middleton's out for the series now. He is not coming back for this series.
Yeah.
Giannis is doing all he can. Middleton obviously is that number 2 piece. DeRozan stepped up. Zach LaVine, Vucevic is playing well. They're getting 3 guys to step up in Chicago. Could we see the upset based on this injury to Middleton?
Yeah, we could. That's unfortunate for Milwaukee. Because Chicago is good enough to team to take a couple of games when Milwaukee is healthy. Now, you add that Middleton injury, that's a big injury, and now there's a big gap in Milwaukee's game that there's nobody there to really make up for all that Middleton does. You're going to have to get, a group contribution, from that bench. And I don't know if the bench is good enough to do that.
The only guy, Brook Lopez, may be a key. He's averaging like 21 points a game in this series. But again, he doesn't replace Middleton. So
and he's not as consistent as Middleton as well.
It's just a shame because look, Giannis is playing phenomenal.
He's
fourth. I think he's 30. He's averaging over 30 points a game. He's doing what he can. This injury is going to definitely hurt them. So
yeah,
go ahead.
It's gonna be hard. I mean, they can get through it, but like you said, Lopez is probably the biggest key in all of this. But I don't think he's consistent enough.
He's not going to give him enough. I don't think he can't. He won't give him what Middleton gave him. So the number 4 Philadelphia 76ers and the number 5 Toronto Raptors. This series is over. Let's just call it as it is. Philly's up 3-0. Toronto has looked flat. Philly's taking care of business. Embiid, though, slight injury to his thumb, maybe a concern. But if they can get out 4-0, give him some rest, that should be enough to at least get when they get to the next round, he'll be healthy to go. Can Toronto do anything in this series to at least make it interesting? In your mind?
I don't think they can do anything. I think it's going to be 4-0. And I think Philadelphia is going to approach it as let's get this one out of the way and rest. I think Embiid is going to go full out next game, try to get it done. And, then you rest. And that's what they're going to attempt to do. It's probably better than, just sitting him out one game and then trying to finish it off without him, because then a disaster could happen, and you don't want somebody taking away that momentum. So I think you gotta,
exactly. No,
you gotta use the dagger while you have it out. Not to get too graphic.
No, I got you. So in the West, the number 1 Phoenix Suns versus the number 8 New Orleans Pelicans. This series has turned very interesting. It's tied 1-1. Devin Booker now out. Should probably at least 2 games, maybe the series. Brandon Ingram for the Pelicans has played very well, has looked good. I'm going to throw this name out there. Zion Williamson is still rumored to be possibly back for this team. Phoenix could be had with this Devin Booker injury. As deep as they are, he's such a crucial part of what they do that can Phoenix overcome that injury?
I mean, they should be able to. You would think they would. I mean, because they have, the players to do it. But look, we've seen this show quite a few times in the past. For whatever reason, Chris Paul has never been able to bring the team to championship. This just has that written all over it right now.
And the surprise,
it has it written all over it.
When that trade happened with McCollum, and we were like, they're just sending him there because he ended up turning his leadership and what he's able to do. So it's not a young team. As much as we sit there and go, oh, they're a young team, they're not. No. Brandon Ingram's been around for a few years now. McCollum has been in this league for 9+ years.
Yeah,
this is a quality team, and they're coached well. And Phoenix, as soon as you start to hear those footsteps behind you now, they could be in trouble looking back and saying, what's going on? I'm a little concerned. That them losing Booker,
and the fact they got to go to New Orleans.
Yep. Now it's back in New Orleans. It's tied. You don't want to go down 2-1 because that gives that team such a confidence boost. If they take both in New Orleans, the Pelicans, I don't see how the Suns come out of this.
No, I don't see it either.
I don't.
Look, and that's why we had that thing about Chris Paul in the playoffs, who's got more pressure, right?
Yeah.
Now we're seeing it. He's got to make the plays in Game 3. If he doesn't do it, it's over.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Another series that turned very interesting, looked like it was going to go one direction, and now it's changed. The number 2 Memphis Grizzlies and the number 7 Minnesota Timberwolves. Memphis came back in Minnesota last night, now lead the series 2-1. How concerned should the Timberwolves be blowing a 26-point lead? Ja Morant still hasn't done Ja Morant things. He's playing okay, but you're still looking at how you blow a 26-point lead and how that can affect you for the rest of this series. Do we feel like Memphis took over this series with that win last night?
Well, yeah. Like, I mean, when you think about it, that's what it should be. But again, it is a young team. Both are young teams, and if you're the coach of Minnesota and you can make the team forget that you just blew that big lead and say, hey, you know what? We had that 26-point lead. Let's keep it this time. Let's work harder and keep it and make sure, we get this win because we know we can do that. So
Minnesota's very capable.
It's going to be the coaching that takes over from here. And the players have to buy in.
Memphis has been so deep all year. And we talked about it when Ja Morant went down for those 9 games. The whole team stepped up. They still won. Except for the Celtics game, but they sat everybody that game. And even their starters. You got to look at the fact that Big Cat and Edwards, for Minnesota have to step up. I'm not saying his full name. Sorry, Ron. Not going to do it.
Oh, from ER?
Yes. But I just feel like that was such a demoralizing way to lose.
Well, at critical times, you do need somebody that is surgical.
Yeah. Yes. So I think this series is over now based on that. I don't see Minnesota coming out of this.
Well, no, I don't either. But, I mean, it's.
I felt Memphis was the stronger
coaching.
team. They could have easily collapsed last night with that loss, with that deficit, and then basically, gone down, 2-1. Instead, they just kept chipping away, doing the things they do. Bain stepped up, big threes. Everybody kind of contributes on that team, and it just, when you think they're not going to do it, they somehow find a way to win. So I don't see Minnesota coming out of that. Although we get to see A-Rod on the sidelines for a couple more games.
Oh, yay.
So the number 3 Golden State Warriors.
Hey, when you do see him on the sidelines, ask him about J-Lo.
All right. Yes. Oh, wow. Ron. Wow. And the Denver Nuggets. So the number 6 Denver Nuggets have basically fallen apart. They're a one-man team, which they've been all season. But I think he's finally hit the point where he needs somebody to help, and he's not getting it. So Jokic has done all he can for this team. Now you're competing with Poole, Jordan Poole, Curry, Clay. They're hitting their shots. They're up 3-0. Is this series over?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Do you think Denver could at least make it interesting?
No.
Defending MVP has a couple of those big games, maybe makes it interesting.
Look, he's got to have guys that can do something around him. It's clear. One player cannot win a championship. Okay? And one player certainly can't go up against a caliber team like Golden State and expect, miracles. I mean, it's just not going to happen. Look, I think Jokic might be the best player in the league right now. Maybe Giannis. But, look, it's clear that one guy can't do it.
Yeah.
One guy cannot do it.
And the one guy we thought could win a series, and that would be the Dallas-Utah matchup. So the 4-5 matchup was Luka Doncic. He's been out. Dallas is still up 2-1 in this series.
Yeah.
How important is it for Dallas right now, if they want to contend, that they get to sit their best player, possibly come out of this series, and then get Luka back for the second round, and what that could mean for Dallas's chances?
Yeah, I mean, this speaks volumes to just the opposite of what we just said about Denver. Because going into the playoffs, okay, we thought Jokic is going to carry that team, and then Luka's going to carry Dallas, right? So they were in a similar situation. But here we are, Dallas, they have somebody stepping up. Brunson. He's been fantastic. So clearly, Luka now has help, and he's noticing this because you see him on those sidelines, and he is giddy. He's giddy.
And every so often, can I say an injury sometimes is a good thing for a team?
Yes.
You're seeing this because they need to all step up. They need to all play well, and they're doing that, which honestly helps them in the long run. I am really curious to see what happens to Utah if they lose this series. And does that team get broken up? Rudy Gobert, we know, is one of the top defensive players in the league. Donovan Mitchell, electrifying young player, but obviously has some struggles. Do they break this team up? Do they start to look at possibly moving on from some of these two guys as the pairing and maybe make a change? If you lose to a Dallas team without Luka Doncic in this series, what does that say about your team?
Not much.
Right?
But maybe they can trade for a LeBron,
Stop. You always got to mention LeBron. You love LeBron. So once again, if you're enjoying what you're watching, check us out every Friday night as we are live. We're on at 6 p.m. every Friday. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, all live, fan interactive. We love fans chiming in. We love to talk to our fans, so please make sure you join us live at 6 p.m. every Friday. If you'd like to follow our social media, platforms. We're at Sports Unfolded on Facebook and Twitter, at Broadcasting RI on Twitter, Sports _Unfolded on Instagram. If you'd like to sponsor the show, ribroadcasting.media@gmail.com. We'd love to get some sponsors. We want to be able to continue to do even more with Sports Unfolded. So check us out. We have thousands of eyes on you, and you'd be able to generate even more business for yourself through the world. If you don't have time to watch, listen to us on our podcast on Amazon, Anchor, Google, Spotify, and TuneIn. You can join us on Discord as well. So many different ways to watch and follow us. Discord, Sports Unfolded. We post all of our rankings and the shows on our Discord as well, so you're able to watch it there. If you're in Southeast Connecticut, check us out, Public Access Channel 12. We are on Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. It's a rebroadcast of our Friday night show. If you like what you're watching, and you're watching it right now on SEC TV, check us out Friday night, 6 p.m., Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, and join the show that way. Ron, this is going to be a touchy subject for me because we're going to talk about the Yankees, and I know how much you love the Yankees and what they've done. So one Aaron Boone, and the player that we're putting green right now is Miguel Cabrera. And Miguel Cabrera intentionally walked in last game facing the New York Yankees, and the Yankees were down in the game, and it was the 8th inning, and Aaron Boone decided to intentionally walk Miguel Cabrera instead of giving him a shot to try to hit 3,000 hits. Do you agree with the decision by Aaron Boone?
Yeah.
Wow, that didn't go the way I expected that to go.
No, like I don't see what the big deal about this is. They're down by a run. You have first base open. The logical play when this guy comes up is you intentionally walk him, you face the next batter. That's what you do because you got to try to win the game. And you're hoping that your next at-bats, you can get, the tying run. This is a no-brainer. You don't let a guy like Miguel Cabrera hurt you and put you down by 3.
So why do you think so many people are criticizing the move?
Because they're idiots and they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
It's
this
more
is
about
clear.
they want to see some kind of history.
I see. Yes, they want to see some history. Well, you have to wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's simple. It's simple. Look, you're trying to stop the team from scoring. Why would you say, okay, he hit this?
You've mentioned LeBron, and you gave the Yankees credit today. The world's changing. I could see it now.
No, the Yankees still suck, but...
Hey, whoa. How about the fact that they tried to make it a big deal by basically panning over to the family in the stands and how they were disappointed in it? Look, it's not the Yankees' fault. He didn't get a hit earlier.
He could have got a hit earlier in his first 3 at-bats,
Look, you still play to win the game.
Right.
We've heard that before. You play to win the game.
Anybody that's criticizing this move really doesn't know baseball at all. That has no clue.
Right. Herman would said it right. You play to win the game. You don't play to get somebody 3,000 hits so they can have some momentous moment at home. That's not the Yankees' problem. But I found this story interesting. I figured we'd bring it up. I just figured your hatred for the Yankees, you would disagree with.
When you come to stuff like this, it is dumb. And I know, like, if it's the 9th inning and you got a no-hitter going, you don't try to bunt. I mean, that's just cheese, But this is different. It's like you're trying to win a ball game, and believe me, in the American League East, every win is important,
So let me ask you this question, because this came up on a different game, because you're talking about unwritten rules in baseball.
Yeah,
and I can't remember the game, but the team was up by it was like 10 runs, and it was in the 2nd or 3rd inning. They bunted to try to get a guy on and move a guy to second, whatever, and people were upset about it. And then in the 6th inning or 7th inning, they decided to steal a base, and they were still up by 9 runs. And I don't understand. you play to win game. These guys get paid based on numbers too.
So, like, again, unwritten rules, okay? So if you're up by 9 runs, you don't steal bases. You don't steal bases.
Why? Does it matter?
Yes, it does matter.
Why?
It's just not right because it's like
I don't agree with that.
you're trying to embarrass them at that point.
Stop them. Stop them.
I'm just saying.
You try to stop them. It's no different than when your team in the NFL puts up 50 points and people are like, oh, if they try to score again, that's just showing up the other team. Their job's to stop them. If they don't stop them, that's not on that team that stopped scoring.
And I get that point. Okay. Baseball is a little different. It's because you're not going to come back from 9 runs down.
It just
doesn't happen.
Times. It's happened 8 times since 18, whatever it was, 30
yeah,
something.
Okay.
It's some
exactly.
ridiculous number, and I agree with you.
But if it
that's
happened, fine.
If it happened, would that manager not get criticized for saying he took it easy for 6 innings?
Oh, most likely.
So you can't win for trying. You either way you do it, people criticize you for making the moves and not making the moves.
And that's the problem with a lot of these unwritten rules. A lot of the unwritten rules are outdated and, frankly, kind of stupid. But I do think, trying to steal is probably not the right thing to do. But hit and runs, I don't think that's a problem. Should
they not even hit? Should they just stand?
Well,
up
that's
there
just it. That's just it. It's like at some point, and you go through that in hockey too. When somebody's up by 6 goals, and then if you're getting you get a power play, and it's like, oh well, we can't score on this power play because that's not right. That is stupid. Because that's what you have. That's what your goal is, to score, right? Yeah. So, so there's a lot of unwritten rules that are really stupid, and I don't like them. Yeah. And look, I used to pitch, and if somebody tries to show me up, I'm throwing the ball at you. I mean, clearly, and I would tell them too while I'm on the mound. I'm like, you don't want to do that. And, and then they're surprised when I throw the ball at them. So, I was a little nutcase, but, that's how baseball, polices itself, is by that pitcher doing it to your player, and that is okay. As far as I'm concerned, I expect it. If I'm showing up a team, then I expect to get the consequences, and I think every baseball player expects that. But these stupid little unwritten rules that are just so outdated, it makes no sense to be part of the game anymore. It makes no sense.
I don't get it. Let's move on to some NHL because
let's go on to something, a little more
so the
stable.
Florida Panthers have clinched the top seed in the Eastern Conference. Would you consider them the favorites in the East to go to the finals?
In the East, yes. They're too good. Like, this team is good. They can seem to score at will.
So this is where I wanted to do a little research. 6 times since 1995, when they did the post-divisional era, 6 times a number 1 seed has won the cup. That's not very good odds.
No, it's not.
The lowest seed has been the number 5, and that was the New Jersey Devils in 95. So would you not be concerned, A, if you're lower than 5, Boston, yep. And then even at the number 1 doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win the cup. No. Florida's been very consistent all year.
Look, this is a hard thing to do, winning the Stanley Cup. It's hard. Like, it is the toughest championship to win. It is. Like, I've seen all these sports, and it is the toughest because there is so much to overcome, just to win 4 series in a best of 7. And like when the Bruins did it last in 2011, 7-game series, 7-game series, 7-game series, 7-game series. That's what it takes. It takes a special team to do it. Just to get through 1 series, then you got to do 3 more. And that's why being like an 8th seed or a 7th seed, like, Washington and Boston, really is grueling because you have to play the best teams
And on the road
throughout the season. So you got to figure you're playing the best 4 teams in your conference. The best 4. You got to get through. Good luck. Like, I think the Bruins can win one. If they win one series, I'm going to be thrilled because of where they are and who they have to go through.
Yeah. We said the East is going to be extremely tough, and
So,
a lot of the
it's no guarantee Florida wins.
Yeah,
because like it or not, you're going to have to play Washington, possibly. That's still a question. It could be Pittsburgh. You don't know, and it could be the Bruins.
Yeah.
So, you could lose to any one of those teams. Anyone.
all quality teams. Yeah, all quality teams.
So
all quality teams.
It is not hard. I mean, it's not. No, it isn't hard. It is extremely difficult to take a series in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Extremely difficult.
So I'm glad you mentioned Washington because we're going to talk about Ovechkin here, who became the oldest player to score 50 goals in a season. How would you rank him in NHL history?
As a goal scorer? That's
So,
tough.
You're starting to talk about some of the greatest players in NHL history, and I'm going to mess the guy's name up because he passed Boston Bruins legend John, is it Buck? Busick?
Busick.
I was so close.
The Chief.
I knew So Busick, Busick was 2 months from being 36 when he set the record in 1970-71.
Yeah.
He's had 9 50-goal scoring seasons, which ties him with Gretzky and Mike Bossy, who I know we want to discuss a little bit after this. And he's 21 goals away from Gordie Howe to be the second all-time leading scorer in NHL history.
Yeah.
You're talking about some of the hockey's greatest players, greatest overall.
Look, it's mind-boggling when you put the numbers where they are. It's mind-boggling. Like, you need 21 goals to get to Gordie Howe. Like what? 10 years ago? 1 year ago? Nobody thought that would be possible.
And we talked about it earlier on in the season about him breaking possibly Gretzky's record. And we said he has to average like 30-something goals a season for the next 5 years. If he's getting 50 goals a season, he's looking at like 2.5, 3 years. And he's
Another
going to
3 years.
Yeah, he's past his Gretzky.
But also, that's 3 more years. That's hard at this point in his age.
I didn't think he'd get 50 goals at 36.
No, I didn't think he'd get 50 goals this year.
So, again, and it's on a team that hasn't dominated. His team has struggled.
It's like we talk about. We've talked about this. It's that puncher who can have that one punch. That's the last thing to go. His shot is the last thing to go. His skating will go first. But there is still no problem with him standing off to the side of the circle, and just winding up for a one-timer and putting it in because that's still there. Like, that shot is still there. That's not gone. So as long as he can play on that power play, that's a threat. That's a threat. Whether his skating diminishes, in the next year or so, which to me, I think he's already starting to slow down a little.
Yeah, it's
but not enough to hurt his game because of the talent around him.
But we're also seeing, if you look at the athletes now, LeBron James and how long he's been playing,
right?
And at the age,
Daniel Chara.
Again, 30 plus points a game. Tom Brady, 45 years old, winning, again, one of the top quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah.
Ovechkin, very easy at 36. This isn't old anymore.
No.
With the way medicine is now and the healing process and the things they're able to do to their body, he could go another 4 or 5 years and be very successful.
You just look at all the players that have hit 1,000 games this year. There was quite a few. It was like it seemed like there was a trail of them throughout the league this year. Foligno, Jonathan Taves. It was like one after another. And so players are playing longer, and you know, and that is causing ripple effects everywhere. So it's like those mid guys that seem to be kind of getting forced out because they want to go with youth, and these guys that have been doing it for all these years.
Yeah.
So, and when I look at Ovechkin, like he's one of the top 4 goal scorers of all time, to be honest with you. And
Who passes Gretzky? Do you not put him as?
I mean, you kind of have to.
Or do you look at?
have
Or do you
to.
look at all the other numbers as well and say, look, Gretzky still be?
I mean, Gretzky is still going to be the best player to probably ever play. I mean, I can't even
Would
fathom
Ovechkin
that
be at
changing.
your second at that point?
But no, I wouldn't. I would not have him. Second best player all time. No, that's not happening. To me, it's a toss-up between Mario and Bobby Orr.
Okay,
Second best,
okay,
third best. So
That's
he's
fair.
not top 3.
That's fair.
You
So
know,
next year he becomes a number 2 goal scorer, barring injury, is what we're expecting.
most likely, yeah,
Right? Insane.
most likely.
Insane. So,
But
before we-
I'd still take Mike Bossy over Ovechkin.
Yeah. And you said it earlier before we started the show. His 950 goal seasons were all in a row. Yes. Unfortunately, we lost him. Within the last week.
Yeah.
And now we had another loss in hockey with Guy Lafleur.
Oh.
Right.
As much as I despise the Montreal Canadiens, this guy Guy Lafleur, he was just grace on ice. He was so smooth. He was so good. And people that, still say, Crosby is one of the best all time. No. Look, Guy Lafleur was so much better than Crosby. Guy Lafleur was just a great player. Multiple MVPs, best goal scorer, most points in a season many times. Like this guy just did it all. He did it all, and he did it with class. For me to say that about a Montreal Canadian, yes, I like Patrick Waugh, goaltender,
Yeah.
Ken Dryden,
Yeah.
goaltender, Carey Price, goaltender, because those are the guys that stood in the Bruins' way all those years. Look, when I'm giving credit to a Montreal player, a skater, like that is first of all, something to mark down on your calendar when it was. So do it now.
It may not happen again ever.
He is by far my favorite Montreal Canadian. By far, it's not even close. Like this guy, I used to want him to come to Boston so bad, because he's that good. He just reminded me of Rick Middleton, but only twice the player as Rick Middleton. And I thought Rick Middleton was a great hockey player. So that tells you right there where Guy Lafleur is. And to be honest, when I look at Guy Lafleur and Mike Bossy, I'm putting 2 of my favorite all-time players right there.
Yeah.
And they have gone. 2 of my favorite all-time players. And the other one would be Steve Yzerman.
I would say this up in the hockey heavens, man. There's going to be some good games going on now. And
Oh my God, it must be great. Clark Gillies is just recently there.
Both
another
lost
Islander.
Yeah, so a few of them lost too young. Ron, it is face-off time.
Yes.
And we decided to go with a interesting question with the NFL draft coming up. Should the NFL change their draft process and go with a lottery system similar to what the NBA has? So the NBA, they throw all the balls in there, right? And those 14 or so teams that didn't qualify, obviously 14 having the least chance to get the 1 pick, but at least they have a chance. So we're going to argue about if that should be a thing in the NFL. And since I am first, I get to pick which side I am on, and I am for this. And I'm going to tell you why I'm for this. I am tired of the same losing organizations not trying to win, getting these number one picks and letting these guys rot in some NFL city because they just refuse to do anything with them. They don't build talent. They just keep getting number one pick after number one pick. Example right now is Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, lucky him. He's got another 5 years of just nothing. Here we go, another number one pick. These guys take too long to develop for the most part. By the time they do, they're off to another team anyway. Or they've just played so poorly because everything around them has been so bad that nobody takes them seriously and they have to move on. So to me, I would love to see this process because it's probably a team that's middle of the ground that needs one or two players and they can make the playoffs and honestly be contenders. And this would give them an opportunity versus getting a 14, 15 pick. Maybe they get the number one pick and it makes it interesting. That's my argument.
Okay. Well, it's all fine and dandy, but the only way a team really truly gets out is if they have a staff that can pick out talent. And the only thing, that you can blame those teams for really is finding, those people that can run the organization properly. So that is where the problem is. And it isn't with the system. It is more with the people running that system. So now Jacksonville has Peterson in charge of all of this, with all their new regime. And they are the ones that have to, go and pick out the next guy to help.
Rebuild, start again.
It's not another rebuild. They've already done it now.
Right?
So
but now it's with a new coach.
Yes, new coach. But, you started last year. He's got Lawrence. So he's going to get somebody in there to help him out. And now this team is going to come out of last place. And they're going to, make a little bit of a difference. Maybe get a third pick next year.
Make it interesting. Make it interesting. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the same thing.
The problem always is, the front office on these teams.
I would say that most of the time. But again, how long do those guys stay in before you actually get rid of them?
It's the same teams every year. It's the same teams every year. Detroit, Jacksonville, Cleveland, has a history of it, New York Jets has a history of it because they don't know who to pick. They don't know what they're doing. Again, you saw it last year. You saw it last year with the Jets. Oh, he's our savior. No, he's not. No, he's not. He makes poor decisions. It was a poor pick. It's the same thing. Look at Detroit. Oh, yeah, we're going to trade to get Goff. Yeah, that'll fix us. No, it won't. Look at the decisions you're making.
Good segue, my friend.
It's not the draft picks order that is in question. It is the people that these teams constantly hire. They don't have a clue because they think that they know what they're doing. Jerry Jones. The only thing you're lucky in is you have so much money, it doesn't matter. You can buy players. But he's the same way. He thinks he knows everything, and he doesn't. He makes poor decisions. So
take that out of their hands and make it so it's a draft so that it's actually, look, you could tank. So, again, Cleveland's being investigated for tanking for all those years, right? And we heard about the Miami situation with Flores and the owner saying, let's tank to try to take that out of the element. Tanking wouldn't automatically guarantee you a number one pick anymore. You could tank. Doesn't mean you're getting the number one pick. I think that
takes that I like. That I like. You want to tank a game, then you suffer a penalty. You should be trying to win every game. None of this crap. Oh, let's put a guy on the injured reserve because we might get a better draft pick next year.
Yeah, benefits us losing. So let's go on to our pick and roll, one of our favorite segments of the show, and we're gonna rank. So it's our 16th show. We decided let's go 2016 NFL draft, and we're gonna rank.
Oh, that's
players.
how you.
Jared
That's how you did it.
Carson Wentz, Joey Bosa,
This is
Ezekiel
just
Elliott,
dreadful.
and Jalen Ramsey. So not a lot of quality talent, some talent, but not quality talent.
Oh, there's talent.
There's some.
Whether
but
it's good or
not
not, that's a
perfect.
different thing.
So again, I am first. I will start us off. And at number 5, I went with Carson Wentz, 44, 40, and 1 in his career, 62.6% completion. He's thrown for over 20,000 yards, 140 touchdowns, 57 interceptions, 1 Pro Bowl, 1 Super Bowl championship, which he didn't win. He was out. Nick Foles won. But again, they count it as a ring. He gets a ring. Obviously, we've seen he's been moved on now 2 times over. Jared Goff, I put at 4.
Really?
Kenny, I'm sorry about that one. 45, 37, and 1 in his career, mostly with the Rams. Obviously, we know what he did last year with Detroit. Not very good. 64% completion percentage, 21,000 yards passing, 126 touchdowns, 63 interceptions, 2 Pro Bowls. 2 Pro Bowls. So, Mark, these guys
How
been
do
in
you
there
make a Pro Bowl?
5 years. 2. Well, the Rams, when the Rams were winning.
Still.
At number 3, I went Ezekiel Elliott. He's rushed 1,650 times for 7,386 yards, 56 touchdowns, 3 Pro Bowls, 1 All-Pro. He had 3 rookie awards that year, Rookie of the Year awards. So, again, his first year, phenomenal. After that, not so good. So I put him in the middle of the ground. I still think he's better than Wentz and Goff, but that was the only debate in this for me was 1-2, because I felt like these are the 2 best players with the most impact on their teams and what they've been able to do. But I went at number 2, Joey Bosa, 213 tackles, 58 sacks, 12 forced fumbles, 4 Pro Bowls, 2016 Defensive Rookie of the Year. Instant impact, but he's been consistent, and he's actually stayed predominantly healthy, so that's good. He's putting up some numbers. So at number 1, it had to be Jalen Ramsey, 311 tackles, 15 interceptions. 1 of those he ran back for a touchdown, 5 Pro Bowls, so he's made the Pro Bowl every year he's been in the league, 3-time All-Pro, and obviously the 1-time Super Bowl champ last year with the Rams. We see what he's able to do and contribute to a team, shutting off one side of the field. By far the best out of these 5 guys. That is the pick and roll, my friend. That is it.
That is pretty good.
That is.
You only
phenomenal.
made 1 mistake.
I did not make any mistakes.
You made a mistake
what
because
was
there's
that?
no way Jared Goff is ahead of anybody.
Oh, come on.
He is not ahead of anybody, anywhere, any league, anyhow.
He's got
Jared Goff, number
he's
5.
12 games over 500.
Okay, yeah, because it was what?
Carson Wentz is 4 games over 500.
Yeah, okay, but look at
You're
those
putting
interceptions.
Carson Wentz ahead of Jared Goff.
Look at those interceptions. 60-something
Has
interceptions.
Kenny not taught you anything?
2-1. 2-1. So
Jared
he's gonna
Aaron
pass for
Rodgers.
2 touchdowns and then throw a pick. Pass for 2 touchdowns, then throw a pick.
Yes, it is. That is basically what he does.
That's what you get with him. At least
He's made
At
more
least
Pro Bowls
Carson
than
Wentz.
Wentz.
At least Carson Wentz will pass for 3 touchdowns before he throws an interception.
He made 1 more Pro Bowl than when you know what the amazing
the
thing
Pro
is,
Bowls are false.
is that
All
not a
of them.
joke? It just goes to show you how bad the NFL Pro Bowl is.
Yes.
You make the Pro Bowl.
Nobody
it
wants
just
to
goes
go,
show you.
so you
Nobody
just
wanted to
made
go,
it.
so they made it in. Yes, these
Yeah.
guys stink.
So they don't have Pro Bowls as far as I'm concerned.
So
because they both suck.
3, 2, and 1. You had the same.
3, 2, and 1. I had the same. Joey Bosa, number 2. Ezekiel had a good year. Yeah, but you know what? He's a running back, and he's a good player. I'm not saying he's not a good player,
yeah.
but dime a dozen.
As he started off, what he started off to what he is today.
Yeah, no,
it's actually on the tail end already. 5 years in.
right. So Jalen Ramsey, number 1. Those numbers do not lie. And I love both those players, and both those players deserve to be up there. And they are. The gap is so wide between those 2 and everybody else. It's not even close.
And the fact that he's made 5 Pro Bowls every year, and I know we
Yeah.
but But he's been one of his top at his position for 5 years straight.
Absolutely.
When he came
And
into the league.
those
3
tackles, those tackles.
Yep.
Woo.
3 All-Pros. Like, how do you not?
And some of those tackles are really hard tackles.
Yeah. Yep. No, he's one of the best.
And Joey Bosa is Mr. Consistent to me.
Yep.
I think he's a great player.
Yeah.
Future Hall of Famer.
10 sacks. He's averaging 10 sacks a year. You keep doing that, you're going to make a lot of noise in this league.
Yep.
Once again, thanks for checking us out Friday nights at 6 p.m. as we will be live every Friday night on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. We are fan interactive. If you join in, we will definitely make sure you are part of our show. So make sure you do that. Follow us on social media at Sports Unfolded on Facebook and Twitter, at Broadcasting RI on Twitter, Sports_Unfolded on Instagram. Check us out on our podcast if you don't have time to watch. Amazon, Anchor, Google, and Spotify, and TuneIn.
And Red Circle.
Red Circle now. SEC TV. Public Access Channel 12, Southeast Connecticut. We are on Tuesdays at 10 p.m., which is a rebroadcast of this show on Friday nights. So if you enjoy what you're watching us right now, check us out on Friday nights. If you'd like to sponsor the show, ribroadcasting.media@gmail.com. It's less than a cup of Starbucks coffee. I bought one the other day, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's very expensive, Starbucks coffee. So we are less than that. We will have
it's not supposed to sound expensive, though.
So we're much less than that. Much less than that. How's that? Better? And we can definitely get some exposure to your business. Thousands of eyes on your business daily. We are.
But we got to stop using Starbucks because they're not giving us even free coffee or anything.
Good call. Less than a cup of coffee at some establishments.
Yes.
That will leave nameless.
That's much better.
Try to sponsor us as much as possible. We'd love to be able to do even more with Sports Unfolded. We've got a lot upcoming, a lot going on. Tune in for our live watch party this Thursday, the NFL draft. We are going to be live watching the draft and discussing the picks.
Absolutely.
So excited about that. We'll probably have some people join us as well.
To make it more enticing, I may buy like a 6-pack of our best brews.
Oh.
And all right. That way I'll be ranting and
I can't wait.
Gabby.
I can't wait.
Maybe I'll make some whiskey dogs too.
The whiskey dog. You were really on fire that week.
Whiskey dogs are so good.
Eric, I'm going to bring this up, my friend, as I've taken a slight bigger lead last week. Game on you. I went 6-2 last week. You 3. But let's bring that prediction up. That this is posted on all of our sites: Discord, Twitter, Facebook. So
look, you guys got to get involved,
TikTok.
Man. We want all kinds of names on this list.
So check that out as
involved.
We consistently try to pick some of the top games of the week. So it's not as easy as it looks. It's there's some tough games in there that we try to pick out, but I'm at 56%.
It's all the tough games.
I'm starting to narrow that gap. Narrowing that gap on you, Ron. I didn't actually pick my teams this week ahead of time, so I am going to do this on the fly as we go. But I am first this week, 423. You've got the Toronto Maple Leafs at the Florida Panthers. I'm a little nervous with the Panthers now that they've clinched. They may rest some guys going into the playoffs. I don't think this is a game, though. I'm going Florida because they're going to want to show that they're still the kings of the East and what teams have to worry about.
I agree. I am also going Florida. They are not going to rest the players during this game, except for maybe like a Joe Thornton, but I think everybody else will be intact. And this is a big game for Toronto. They just got destroyed by Tampa Bay, so they're going to try to make a statement here with Florida. And they're going to be gunning for him. But I'm going Florida.
All right. Awesome. Let's see how that works out. 426, Carolina Hurricanes at the New York Rangers. Obviously a big game when it comes to standings.
Yes, these two teams are battling for that number 1 spot in the division, which would be the number 2 spot in the playoffs.
Yep.
And who knows who they'd be playing, but I'm sure, both teams want to take that spot so they can supposedly play an easier team, which I don't know if that's a fact or not. But it's
not in the East.
it's a dogfight, and I'm going to go New York Rangers at home.
Wow, I'm going Carolina. Going Carolina, my friend. Sorry, Mick. 428. Calgary Flames at the Minnesota Wild. Really good game. Both of these teams have been exciting. I like Minnesota at home. Every game we've had them, and they're at home, they seem to pull it out. As tough as Calgary is, and as good as Calgary's been playing, I just feel Minnesota at home, their goaltending is a little better. I like Minnesota at home.
I as well. They've been getting great goaltending, especially at home. And, Minnesota is still trying to figure out where they're going to be. We know who they're going to play, and that is St. Louis, but they want to be playing at home. So They're going to be trying their best to win this game. And so I'm going to go Minnesota as well.
April 23rd, NBA. We're just picking one game. Boston Celtics at the Brooklyn Nets.
That is game 3?
That is game 3. That is tomorrow night.
I am going to go with Boston in game 3.
I'm going Brooklyn.
I knew you would.
I am going Brooklyn. April 24th, Golden State Warriors at the Denver Nuggets. Nuggets, a must-win to at least stay alive in these playoffs. Jokic is going to play his tail off and is going to lose to the Golden State Warriors, who will sweep this series. I'm going Golden State.
I also agree that he's going to play his butt off. But I think Denver's going to take this one.
You got Denver.
I got Denver to stop the sweep.
Okay.
And then lose next game.
All right. We are definitely different this week. I love it. April 22nd, the Boston Red Sox at the Tampa Bay Rays, a 3-game series. Obviously, the importance of the AL East and that's those standings early on in the season. Who do you got?
Look, the Red Sox just played a tough series with Toronto, and I think Toronto is the better team, and they took it 2-1. But I think Boston is the better team here, and I'm going to go with Boston 2-1 against Tampa Bay.
I'm going the opposite way. As every time I doubt the Tampa Bay Rays, they somehow win these games to take the division. This is very important for both teams. I think Tampa Bay wins. You might make it ground up this week.
Oh, I'm probably going to.
So on April 25th, you got the New York Mets at the St. Louis Cardinals. It's a 3-game series. Both two very good teams. I've just got a lot of faith in the Mets right now and their pitching staff. Even without some of their key pitchers, they have still consistently been one of the better ERA teams, holding teams down. I'm going the New York Mets here.
I'm taking the home team, St. Louis Cardinals. Everybody's touting the New York Mets pitching staff, but, you look over in St. Louis, that pitching staff isn't so bad, and, that lineup is a tough lineup to get through.
Very good. Yeah,
so
good.
I'm taking St. Louis in that one.
All right. So we got a USFL game here, another one, and that would be on April 23rd. The Houston Gamblers at the Birmingham Stallions, both undefeated at 1-0.
Oh, you know where I'm going with this.
I know where
my
you're
Italian
going.
Stallions. Rocky Balboa showed up there and give the knockout punch for Birmingham, and I'm riding the Stallions all the way to the end.
No pun intended, but
no pun
the Gamblers.
Intended.
I mean.
Look, you try to go with the Gamblers, and that's what it is. It's a crapshoot.
It's a gamble. I'm going Birmingham as well.
Yeah, you're jumping on that train.
I have to at this point. They cost me last week.
You're finally picking the right pony.
Finally. Hey.
That was meant.
That was pretty good. Also, tomorrow night, there's a heavyweight championship fight. Tyson Fury, who's 31-0-1 with 22 knockouts, will face Dylan White, 28-2 with 19 knockouts. That is in London. They're actually fighting at Wembley Stadium. And it's pretty interesting. I think they said it's the 5th time a heavyweight championship between two fighters from England. So that's another interesting nugget. Is it my turn or it's your turn, correct? Go ahead. You're up. Who you got?
No, I went with Birmingham first.
Oh, you did? Okay. I am going Tyson Fury. He is not losing this one.
Okay. Look, the one thing I know when I watch Tyson Fury, he is completely nuts. He's completely nuts. Like you can't knock him out. Like I've seen him take punches, and it's like it doesn't even faze the guy.
Yeah,
like he is not losing this fight. He's not losing. Toughest man on the planet.
So we got a few different
there.
ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different games. So if you win all 5 of those, you take the lead.
Oh, wouldn't that be something, huh?
Let's see if you can change the outcome here for next week.
Imagine that.
All right, my friend. So how we normally end our show, we do our final thought. Doesn't necessarily have to be about anything sports related. It could be about anything going on in the world today. I am first this week. So my final thought is actually on JUCO college baseball player Owen Woodard. If you don't know who Owen Woodard is, I would Google this. He's a pitcher for the North Texas Junior College who decided that he was going to change baseball into a football tackling drill. Once a player hit a home run on him, almost injured the kid pretty severely with the tackle. Regardless of what was said, done, I agree with you with the unwritten rules of baseball. The next time the guy comes up, just beat him. That was just uncalled for. The North Texas Junior College at least finally released the player because originally he was just suspended. I just don't understand the mentality. What would cause someone to do that? And then on top of it, you think about the fact that you got kids who are watching the game today and trying to pick some stuff up. And this is going to be everywhere. And this is not how you handle defeat. Honestly, we've talked about it in the past. If you're going to win, then you win by being tough and continue to chip away and do it that way. I thought this was just a coward act on a defenseless person. And regardless of what this person said, there was no need for that. It was just uncalled for. Should be ashamed of himself. This kid's never going to play baseball again. I'd be shocked if anybody even touched this kid again. So just as I kept watching the video, I was just disgusted by it. And finally, him being released was a good outcome for that situation. That's my final thought.
Very good. Excellent. I did see that. It was incredible. I was stunned. All right. My final thought this week is obviously going to go into the hockey direction, and that is to one Mike Bossy and one Guy Lafleur. Look, the NHL has already lost too many people this year. And when you're losing quality players and quality people like we have, it really hurts a sport. Now, the NHL is going to be mourning these great players, for, until opening day next year, when I'm sure there's going to be tributes, by the NHL and the players around the league. And, that was just too many. And the Islanders are really taking it on the chin with Clark Gillies and Mike Bossy from those Stanley Cup championships. And, it's just heartbreaking to see all, my players that I, grew up watching, go. But it hurt just as much this week to find out that Liz Sheridan, Jerry Seinfeld's TV show mom, passed away also.
Oh, wow.
And that hurt just as much because it's like, that's Seinfeld,
Yeah.
It's one of the all-time great comedies, and Liz Sheridan is now gone, and, we will never forget. So,
yeah, no. Well, that's our show for tonight. Thank you for joining. If you watched us live, we appreciate everybody that's watched. Chakra, Faceless, thanks for joining us tonight. If you're watching us afterwards, check us out. Follow us on social media. We continue to grow. We love doing these sports shows for our fans. Tune in Thursday night, 8 p.m. NFL watch party for the draft. Ron might be lick it up, so that'll be really fun to see. And eating some whiskey dogs on top of it. So not only will he be consuming beverages, he will be eating foods that contain
Beverages.
beverages in it. So this should be a very interesting show. We'll try to get Kenny on with us, maybe some other people to join and have some fun with it. Be one of our first. We've never done this, so we're excited to see how this turns out.
Yeah, maybe.
So make sure you join us and tell us how you think the draft as it's going along. We'd love to hear some people.
Yeah,
tell
I'd
us
like
what the
to.
draft-
I'd like
what's
to
going
maybe
on.
get like Tez on here for during Indianapolis picks
Yeah.
and stuff, or some of these older fans that have been with us, and we'd like to get everybody involved. That would be awesome.
That'll be pretty fun. That'll be pretty
So-
fun. So, Ron, thank you for tonight. I appreciate it.
Always
We'll
a pleasure.
see you on probably Monday or Tuesday for the NHL ranking show. So I can't wait for
Absolutely.
that. And Thursday night, NFL draft watch party. Let's have some fun.
All right.
Everybody out there, let's get some peace in this world.